And we're back with some more oxygen not included on Oasis. And we sorry about that fast zoom. And we've got some space stuff going on, but more importantly, right now I've got a little bug going on with my petroleum boiler. For some reason, that cracked, released a bunch of crude oil, just 1.2 kilos of it, and that's causing a speed bump. The crude oil is actually or the petroleum's flowing up and around it and still functioning. So the petroleum boiler just hasn't broken, but well, that's not normal. So what I'm going to do here is just break it open. Now, I know there's no gas in here and I vacuumed it all out, but that doesn't really matter to be honest. I've tested this before with gases in it. As long as it's only a single gas, it's fine. And now that it's running, the gases can't really get anywhere where they'll cause a problem. So I'm going to let oxygen in. It shouldn't come back to bite me in the butt, but knowing how I play, yeah, we'll find out. So I'll just crack that open and remove that. Yeah, oxygen is flown in quite happily. And what's the temperature looking like? Well, the temperature overlay doesn't help very much when you're playing a hot base. Everywhere looks red, just like this. Oh, look, it's nice and cool over there. It's 73 degrees. If it's cold enough that liquid can exist, that usually means that it's not too hot. We'll finish off this little chunk here, and then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming. I'm thinking the first thing up we're going to do is we are going to do a volcanic steam turbine, but just to see how this new version works. That should be the last of the petroleum. We can seal this up, and if we check the gas overlays here, should be fine. Yeah, there's just a bit of oxygen in there. It's not going to cause a big problem, or theoretically, it shouldn't cause a big problem. Let's hope it doesn't cause a big problem. Once that's sealed up, I think I'm going to double layer this whole endeavor. I don't want any of that heat from the magma leaking out. That little quick fix should make sure it doesn't get too much hotter around here. Also, I'm sending the petroleum that comes out of this. It comes out at 125, so or 110. I'm insulating that. I don't want it to be boiling the surrounding atmosphere. But now that all that is done, we are going to start over here on this volcanic steam turbine power system. Um, uh, this is going to be incredibly brute force and simple, but let's get started. Yeah, we're going to make it down here. We're just going to have a steam box down here and then steam turbines on top. And we're going to use a Tony Advanced Oni trick to get this one working. One of the tricks Tony likes to do is instead of vacuuming out an area, I was going to vacuum it out. I decided, no, I'll try his method. It's where you fill in the area with tiles and then you delete the tiles when you're finished. Then, after you've filled in the area that you're going to vacuum out, I may have overdone it slightly. You just go in and delete the tiles, and you'll start with a pre-made vacuum ready to go. And it's slowly starting to come together. This is going to be our little dropper over here that will drop our magma in, and these mesh tiles are going to, well, they're going to force the debris to act in a certain way. If you haven't seen Tony AdvancedONI's videos on how to manage magma, I'll put the links in the description again, and you can have a look through. I think it'll be the second link will cover this particular method. Now, this is just me doing a little bit of automation testing. I'm trying to get this door to cycle open and then close again pretty quickly. I wanted to dribble stuff in here. Well, that's the plan, and everything around here should be made of steel. Yeah, I think this will work. This should definitely work. There are maybe a few small inefficiencies as I attempt to put together this new design. Water filled, most of the automation done. I do have to delete that brick before I seal this area up. I think it's time to get the power run over here. And by power run, I'm going to have to run the power all the way from the opposite side of the map. What's this one at? Potential power consumed, 10 watts. I think that line's free. That power cable is actually coming all the way over from the other side of the map. How come I've got so many projects on the right-hand side of the map that require me to run such ridiculous power cables? Anyway, has this has decided that this area is fine. We've got our liquid lock in place. We've got our liquid in. We've got an aqua tuner in place. I think it's time I sealed this up with a few bricks and got this ready to go. But first, I have to deconstruct this tile. Once that's deconstructed, I can then install the mesh tiles. Now, let's hope nothing horrific happens. Nope, we're good. That's perfect. Those can go in there. Ceramic tiles, we've got it sealed. I'll go over the automation settings on these later, but for now, this is set to not care as long as the temperature in here is below 20. Yes, excellent. That means the door will remain closed, and so long as the door is closed, none of that magma can flow in here, and we should be safe for now. Okay. System is now fully sealed. I'll leave the liquid lock in for now. All we have to do is deconstruct the top here and stick in a few steam turbines. And that was relatively painless to set up. Just a couple of steam turbines up here, and we're going to set up a cooling loop here with an aqua tuner, which will just throw some chilling polluted water around here to keep the steam turbines from overheating from processing so much steam. Now, where did I put my polluted water? I think I left my polluted water down here. Yes, so I'll just run some of this polluted water up there. That's all the piping queued up. I even pulled some power from a local source just over here. There was a little bit of spare power left on that wire, so you know what? I'm not going to run a cable from the other side of the map just for one liquid pump that's only temporary. Anyway, that liquid pipe will go up here, and we'll use that to dump some polluted water in here to start our cooling loop to cool down these steam turbines. But then I've got the other problem. How do I get the power out of here? So I figured the simplest thing to do is just run a 2 kilowatt wire carrying the power back over to the power spine and then feed it back on using a transformer going the opposite direction. Shouldn't be too hard, and it should just be a case of following this wire here. It should be fairly straightforward. Yeah, so I think I'll just queue that up now. And here we have the next power cable, but this one's feeding back onto the grid. You'll see this one's feeding out. This one's reversed, so we're going to feed power back on. Oh, well, I should probably hook that up to the main grid. That would be an idea. Give me some heavy watt. Ooh, the decor in there is going to be nasty. Anyway, that power wire is just going to feed all the way back here. Actually, are we done already? Damn, those dupes are industrious. It feeds all the way back in here and plugs into the two steam turbines. So the steam turbines will be able to feed energy back onto the grid. And if I hadn't have messed up, I'd be just about ready to fire this up right now. Reason being I forgot to put in that brick there. Small mistake. It slows me down a little bit. Now, water-wise, yeah, we're all ready to go also. So once this debris is removed, I'm going to seal this up and start this weird volcano-powered steam turbine device. So here we're actually starting up the cooling loop. Oh, I should probably set the temperature on this. If the temperature is above 10 degrees, we don't need it to be too cold in here. If the temperature is above 10 degrees, the polluted water will get chilled down and will help chill down this whole room. So we do want a bit of excess water in here so we can even out the temperature. Also prevents that annoying problem of the whole thing locking up. So, one moment. Plumbing, to and that should be the end of that. And there goes that. Start to mop up the... That's going to spread out, isn't it? Yeah, we'll mop all of you up. We don't want you in there. And I may have put in way too much. 370 kilos of... Yeah, that's a little bit extra, but fine. We'll have a nice chill room. Once that's all mopped up, we'll just seal in the building. You know what? The tidy up can wait. What we want to do is fire this up and see what it looks like in action. So we'll set this to about 100 degrees. And hit activate. Now, this is going to look a bit weird. The magma flows down here, but it can't enter this room because, well, you know, there's no gap between these two tiles. However, the temperature shift plate back there, which is really difficult to see, but it's back there. Where is it? Temperature shift plate. The temperature shift plate can reach diagonally through tiles, so it can share its heat diagonally with this tile. So it pulls the heat out of the magma. And since there's only a tiny little bit of magma there, this is a magma dripper after all, there's only about 40 or 50 kilos of magma. It sucks the heat out of it, it turns into debris, but it can't turn into debris because it's surrounded by metal tiles, it's surrounded by mesh. So the game mechanics force it out diagonally through here. So all the magma gets pushed through diagonally, no need for mining, no need for anything, and then it just sits there. Now I've set up this little bit of automation here. The reason for this is, you know what, I am going to slow this game down quite a bit. This causes a little reset function to kick in. I don't want this, there's a bit of a lag between when this magma hits here and how quickly the temperature sensor updates. So I've set this up to drip slowly, just nice and slowly. So what we'll do here is we'll just increase the temperature to say 140. That should get us the steam turbine starting to fire up a bit anyway. Door opens, it drips out of magma. Then once this timer expires, this timer's set to half a second, it automatically closes the door. This gives this sensor a bit of time to catch back up at what's happening in here. Oh, I made a mistake, didn't I? I forgot to put in all the temperature shift plates. Oops. Yeah, really should have done that already. You know what? I'm going to have to go back in there. I don't want to, but I have to. Damn it. Damn it. Yeah, I'll go in through these two tiles. My bad. Should have saved this before I started. Temperature shift plates installed. That should be a quick fix for our problems. That will get rid of that debris, and then I can seal it back up again. I'm going to lose a little bit of steam. No point crying over spilt steam. Okay, so now the system's up and running. Let's see what's happening here. Steam. Turbine too hot? How is the turbine too hot? What is going... Oh, yeah. I forgot to put a bypass in place, didn't I? Damn it, this is just full of inconsistencies. One moment. Some quick renovations to the piping. I've been making an awful lot of mistakes recently. Maybe I need to slow down. Wait, no. I had food. I'm good. I'll finish this off, then I'll grab a cup of tea, because I'm obviously making sloppy mistakes. But then again, I normally make sloppy mistakes, so I don't think there's anything too unusual there. Anyway, we'll finish sealing that off, and I'll try and do an explanation of what's going on this side. Now, this system is set up so that little drips of magma pour down here, but not enough to form a tile. If enough comes down here to form a tile, it will block up that chunk. So because we use a dripper, only a tiny bit comes down. The temperature shift plates in here suck the heat out of it, and it turns into debris, but it can't turn into debris in this tile. It can't form debris in any of the other tiles surrounding it. The only tile it can pop into existence in is this one down here. So it's magically teleported out of a vacuum area into our steam area, where it sits on top of a diamond window tile, and dissipates its heat into this room. Now, there's bonuses and negatives to this build. One of the negatives is this debris does not give off heat very quickly, as in it's wussy at giving off heat, or terrible, or really bad, whatever way you want to look at it. I mean, if you look at it now, it's about 1300 degrees, but the steam temperature in here is only about 142. So we're going to keep having to inject heat into this constantly. Now, there's a couple of ways around this. You could, of course, put in an auto sweeper, get it to run across on cargo rails and those shipping rails, and the shipping rails would help it transfer heat an awful lot better. However, I'm just not that bothered. That seems like effort. Oh, why is that set to 5 seconds? It should be 0.5 seconds. Ooh, that explains. 0.5 seconds means that this door should only open for a split second and then close again. It should open, let in a droplet, close again. Open, let in a droplet, close again. Let's change this up to 150. I think I can set this to about 185, but there's no real need. I don't think this will run, considering the way I'm handling the debris, it won't allow it to run that fast, because I won't be able to drain the heat out of the rocks fast enough. Now, another way you could drain the heat out of them is I could put them inside doors, so I could open a door beneath them, catch them inside a door, and crush them inside the door, and that helps squeeze the heat out and makes them far more conductive. But there's a third and very, very inefficient option. The third and most inefficient option is just let the igneous rock build up here. Once it hits about 20 to 24 tons, the new tiles or the new debris won't be able to form a chunk with it, and it'll form a second chunk, and then a third, and then a fourth over time. And once you get up to about 100, chunks or 100 tons, we'll have 4 or 5 chunks of debris there instead. And the more and more debris tiles we have, the more heat it'll give off, and the more efficient it'll become. It'll just take 100 or 500 cycles. But on the bright side, this entire design has one moving part: the door. That's it. There's no need for a drill, no need for anything crazy. It just slowly but surely... Ooh, that's about to activate. 1 second. We can see this in operation. Door opens for a split second, closes again. So it just drops in a little bit of magma. The magma instantly solidifies and gets dumped into that igneous rock tile. This just helps prevent temperature fluctuations. You don't want the temperature in here fluctuating so much that it goes above the 200 degree mark. I can set this to about 185. Well, I did on a test map, and it worked quite fine at that. The steam turbines don't go above temperature. But I'm not that bothered. Now, while that's all going on, we'll just finish tidying up this mess that I made over here. And then we can seal in that room. I don't want it spreading chill into the surrounding map. I've got a nice... I mean, look at that map. It looks lovely and glowy. I don't want to mess it up by introducing another big cold spot like I did over... Where was it? Yeah, over at the top of my my industrial steam sauna. Or my industrial power sauna. Now, alright, all done. Once that's all swept up, we'll seal it in, but that's it. That is a very, very super simplistic way of harnessing a volcano. No real moving parts to speak of, nothing to really worry about. Now, I'll just go over the settings here quite briefly on the automation, just so you have you know what's going on. This here is the memory toggle. It's your standard memory toggle, so when this sends the green signal will pass through here, pop out the other side, and tell the door to open. However, that signal comes across here, hits this buffer gate. This buffer gate has a 10-second signal, and it says output a green signal if the input is receiving a green signal, and it keeps outputting a green signal for the amount of time in the buffer. So the moment that green signal hits, this door will open, and then it will activate this buffer gate and tell it keep outputting a green signal for the next 10 seconds, at least. That, of course, activates this, only lets a green signal through after it's been activated for a long enough period of time. So after half a second of being active, as in after this door has been open for half a second, this will go, oh, wait a minute, hit the reset button, hits the reset button, which causes the door to close. And that will stay closed for 10 seconds. Well, 10 seconds until this countdown timer turns off. And then once that countdown timer turns off, this will open again. So it just means every 10 seconds it can potentially open the door for a half a second just to let in a little blob of magma. That way I never have to worry about too much magma getting in here and too much heat being injected. The heat will slowly get injected over time and I don't have to care. Let's see, everything looking good? Yeah. Oh, perfect. Well, let's see how well that runs over the next few hundred cycles or so. Next up. Now, one thing I was really looking forward to was I was going to do rockets, and way, way, way more rockets. However, there's a problem. The problem is space has been nerfed. Space has been nerfed really, really hard. Not just really hard, I mean pretty much nerfed into oblivion. Um, to really cover exactly how hard it's been nerfed, we'll just have to go in here and have just look at a few things. We're not really going to go in depth into the numbers, but say take this planet here, the closest one, a carbon asteroid. It gives you the current mass, maximum mass, minimum mass. This is a complete waste of time. What they really should tell you is how much mass is available. If you take the maximum mass and subtract the minimum mass, it will tell you that you have 12 tons. There is 12 tons of mass is all that's going to be available there. That's it. 12 tons. Yep. 12 tons of 12 tons of mass, which means 6 rockets with 2 cargo modules will strip mine out that entire planet. Now, so this planet will replenish all its resources at 166.7 kilos a cycle. So, it, assuming you send a rocket with 2 cargo wagons, which is the standard, it will take it about 12 cycles before you can come back here and get another 2 tons. So you'll harvest it, wait 12 cycles, and then do it again. However, there's usually not really that much worth it on all of these, and as the further you go out, the less resources that replenish per cycle, as in it gets weaker and weaker and weaker depending on the planetary types. Now, if I was to exclude all the carbon asteroids and all the metallic asteroids, because usually I don't care about them, there's only a few planetary types you care about, like satellites and, well, hydrogen giants. Where are they? Yeah, we've got gas giants out here. If we just excluded it, but if we only excluded the carbon asteroids and the metallic asteroids, this whole map regenerates about 828 kilos a cycle. Meaning if I launched a rocket once every 2 cycles, I would be able to harvest all the planets except for the metallic asteroids and the carbon ones. If I wanted to harvest every single planet in the whole, every single one of them, all the way out to the end, well, except for whatever that is, the temporal tear, it would take, was it 1,658 kilos? So less than 1.7 tons. I could launch one rocket every cycle, and that would harvest all the materials available, assuming I did a lot of micromanagement and shuffling around of the rockets. That's Oh, that is so weak sauce. I mean, you're not going to want all the planets. You're not going to want to harvest all of them, not by a long shot. So there's not really much incentive to build more than 3 or 4 rockets. That's it. That's what I'm trying to get across here. There's nothing. There's no incentive to do jack. The all you want to do is go to an asteroid, strip mine it of everything useful, go to the next, strip mine that, go to the next, strip mine that, and only strip mine the useful planets. Once you've strip mined them, it'll take so long for them to regenerate. There's this helium giant out here. It has a replenishment of 12.8 kilos a cycle, and it starts off with 20 tons. So I could do 10 missions out here, get 20 tons, and then I would have to wait 156 cycles before I could send out another cargo mission to this planet. 156 cycles. I had such plans, such hopes, such dreams. I was planning on building a giant liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen facility, but now there's no point. Anything more than a small facility would be complete overkill. I've been hiring armies of dupes just because I was going to plan on doing, well, an awful lot of rockets. I mean, I've got them all in their little hats and everything. Look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had 7 astronauts ready to go, and I had all these and more in training. Now they have no purpose. 4 or 5 rockets will probably be overkill. So, change in priorities then. If space is weak, then what I will do is go out to, where is that living planet? Is it this one? Which one has it? Ah, this one here. I want to get my hands on some sleep wheat grain, and I am going to make the largest wild farm that it is possible to make. I'm going to create natural tiles, and I'm going to make a gigantic wild farm and feed all of my dupes on wild sleep wheat burgers with lettuce. I'm going to make wild sleep wheat, wild lettuce, and just feed all of my dupes on burgers. First, though, I need to get my hands on a bit of tech. Have I researched that planet yet? Yes, I have researched that planet. Great. That means I'm going to need some more research, so I'm going to need to reconfigure for the 5K rings. And I'm going to need to get a cargo module for the biological cargo module. Where is it? Yeah, this one down here. I'm going to need the biological cargo module so I can bring back seeds. So, next up, a little bit of rocket configuration. For this, we need to set this to 1394 according to that's according to the rocket calculator. That means that'll be 900, 494. That should give us enough petroleum, that should give us enough oxidizer, and then we can send that to the fifth ring. Once I research 2 planets there, say these two, I should have enough research points to knock out biological cargo bays. And once I've got biological cargo bays, I can go get my hands on some sleet wheat. Though in the meantime, I'm going to cook some tiles. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to try. Yeah, launch time. Let's see if you can make it. If we've done everything correctly, you should be able to get out to here. Can we go to the shattered planet? You know what? Nope, we're just going to get ourselves some research in and leave it at that. Organic mass or carbon? Carbon will do fine. Launch mission, off you go. Now what I'm going to do is see if I can reconfigure these cargo ships to go out to... Ow! Okay, that's going to drive up my repair bill. I'm going to see if I can reconfigure these cargo ships using only oxalite. That will just save me a little bit of time in getting my farms up and running. I'm not even that pushed about liquid oxygen and hydrogen. Honestly, my urge to conquer space has been killed by the fact there's no point really now. That sounds terrible. I jacked up the power supply. I had lots of dupes ready to go, so I had to do all this knock-on stuff. And now it's like, yeah, it turns out space, yeah. Never mind. I'll reconfigure this to see if it can work for getting us our organic cargo. So a little check on the calculator. With petroleum rockets with a solid oxidizer, I can send 1 cargo module right out to the frost planet where I can get my hands on some sleep wheat. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave the rocketry program till the very end, and it's kind of sad. This whole giant system I had set up, I was going to stick on some jet rocket suits and all this stuff on the edges of them, put in some control doors. Yeah, no point it seems. Absolutely 0 point. Ah well. Oh, what was that overlay? Whoops. So I've been looking around the map, looking for a good place to start our natural farm or a wild farm. I think what I'll do is I'll turn this area here. I'll cook a bunch of farm tiles in here and turn this entire area into a giant wild farm. It'll be close to my transport network. Should be fairly handy. All we got to do first is, well, to get all the natural tiles. I don't want those natural tiles mucking up all the farm tiles we're going to cook anyway. Once all the ladders go in, that will have removed all the natural tiles, and then I can wall this whole area in. I'm going to have to probably extract all... do I need to extract all the gases? Actually, that would make it easier if I extracted all the gases. It would make it simpler. Then I'll flood the whole place with carbon dioxide. No, I need to grow sleet wheat, pinch of pepper nuts, and I need to grow lettuce. I need to check all the atmospheres of those and see which one would be the best to suit all three. Well, we don't care about the lettuce atmosphere, that's just going to have salt water. Quick jaunt forward in time. This whole area has been cleaned out. All the junk has fallen to the bottom, and I threw together the statue. I've been meaning to put together a statue for a while, and here's our duplicant standing on top of the corpses of all the hatches that paid for the early colony life, and now been smothered by the enormous amount of slicksters we need to keep it supported in this later life. Now I'm going to insulate this box, and once I've insulated, we can put in stories. We're going to have to place them 5 stories apart so we can do some proper planting. For insulation, we'll just use some igneous rock. There's no need to go too crazy on this one. You know what? I'll zoom it out here so you can have a quick look at what it looks like as it goes together. And that should be the rows as it goes together. When it comes to pips, they want to be 5 tiles apart from each other. There was a great tutorial done on it by Bogtar. The secrets of pips. Yep, just look it up. Pips secrets. You'll find it on Google. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it's 5 tiles apart here. That way I can place dirt. I'm going to place some algae up here, cook this whole area and turn all the algae into dirt tiles. Well, We'll see how well it works. For the time being, I'm going to, well, build this massive project and hopefully it'll build up and work correctly when the time comes. Oh, I should probably wall in at the top. I'm going to have to insulate this all the way down the sides. I'm probably going to have to put in liquid locks as well. Yeah, I'm going to have to cook this whole thing to 130 degrees about, just to get all the algae to turn. As well as that, I'll have to make a. Oh, there'll be a few little tricks, but let's just skip forward until this construction is done. This may be a tad too much farmland, but if you're going to do something, if something's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Or if something's worth doing, it's worth doing excessively. Or I don't know, it's something along those lines. I can't remember the exact expression. But I hope this works. I'm going to be investing an awful lot of time and effort in making this box. But it should work fine on the large scale, same as it does on the small. Oh, and that reminds me, I should do up one simple example. Ooh, yeah, I'm going to show you how to make a natural tile. Just a quick way to make a natural tile if you just need one or two for something like a natural park. This is a tip I got given by Svetti, uh, SVETTY00, Svetti00. They advise that if you stick a manual airlock and surround it on 7 sides with tiles, when you deconstruct it, uh, it leaves behind a metal tile, or it leaves behind a natural metal tile. So Tinkertot will delete this, and boom, there you go, copper ore. 200 kilos of copper ore right there, and that's all from a manual airlock. So that's a natural tile, and pips can plant on that. Downside, if you want to remove it, you've got to dig it up, and that loses half the mass. But so long as if you need a tile desperately in an area to, say, get a natural park up and running or something like that, that's a very quick way of getting one done without having to do anything too crazy or complicated. Very simple to do. Now, for some reason, it only works with manual airlocks. It won't work with pneumatic doors, and it won't work with mechanized airlocks. I've tried with both of those. Very weird. I don't know why that bug happens, but there you go. Just one way to get another natural tile if you want it. Now, back to monitoring this giant construction project. I still have to finish this off. This is going to take a few cycles. So the plan is coming together. My plan is to fill all of these storage bins with 1 kilo of algae. Then then demolish all the storage bins, leaving the algae on the ground. Sweep up everything except for the algae until there's nothing left in here but just 3 pieces of algae here, on all these tiles, 3 with a gap between them all. Cook the whole room to about 130 degrees until all the algae turns into dirt. That should form dirt tiles, 3 paces apart, and 5 tiles, vertically separated and 3 tiles horizontally separated, giving me a perfectly big area that I can just start planting lots and lots of things in. Of course, I'm probably going to have to rip out all the atmosphere and change that for carbon dioxide first, unless I want to cook the place with the O2, but I'd rather not. So first, I'm probably going to pump in carbon dioxide. I know the perfect place to get that carbon dioxide from as well. I have a bunch of hot carbon dioxide sitting around in here. In fact, I'm pumping it into space right now, so it would not be very difficult at all to simply divert a couple of 3 or 4 of those lines right into here, and I could quickly fill this place with carbon dioxide and force out all the oxygen at the top. Anyway, I'll skip it forward a bit until we're ready to implement phase 2. All the storage bins have been set to hold 1 kilo of algae. That's it, just one. And I'm sending that off to every single one of them. So it will take a little bit of time as there's a kilo, there's a kilo, there's a kilo, there's a kilo, there's a kilo. It'll take a bit of time as they all get delivered out. But once they're all done, I'm going to disable the sweeping of algae. As in down here, there's the ability for this to get algae swept up into it. I'm going to remove that. If we get rid of algae here, and copy those settings to the rest of them. Now if I do a sweep algae command, I should get a error, as in it'll just show this red tile. 1 second. You know what, we'll just deconstruct this now, and I'll show you. Wait, I don't need to deconstruct it. That would be silly. Why don't I just do that? Yeah, that would seem to make an awful lot more sense. And then if we hit move debris into storage, oh no, there is a place to sweep it. Oh yes, that's because there is plenty of storage bins currently active for that sweeping. You know what, I'll have to cover this after this is all filled. Once all of these storage bins are full, then we can manage that. And there we go, a fully stocked. Whew. Now let's just let all the algae out of there. Nice. Now before that hits the ground, let's try something here. If we hit sweep on this, sweeper and I don't think anyone can sweep that, as far as I'm aware. Where are you going with that algae? No. So there's something left. Let me do some investigating. It would appear I have an algae stockpile back here that I completely forgot about. That's been there since... Oh, I have no idea how long that's been there. You know what? Let's just... yeah, that's better. Deconstruct all of those. Now I gotta put all the algae back in the bins. Every single last one of them. After finding a second container that also was set to sweep algae, I have finally managed to get it to show up with the red symbol. Storage unavailable. As in, there's nowhere where this can be stored. This is important. I want to demolish everything that's in here that's not going to be necessary. For example, these storage bins. But I want the algae to be left behind on the ground. So this time we'll just set everything here to algae. Set it to 1 kilo. Copy the settings. And now, this should be one last fill-up job, and then we should be good to go. Well, hopefully, we haven't messed this up. Then we can start cooking this whole place. Let the cleanup begin. I have all of this set to sweep, and if you look here, you'll notice just here at the front, we've got 3 piles of algae left behind with that red storage unavailable symbol. And by the time we're finished, this entire area should look like that, as in this entire thing should just be little piles of algae left over there. Now, I'm running out of time, so I want to try and push this forward, so I'm going to skip forward quite a bit until all of this cleaning is done. It is done. All of it is clean, ready to go. We can now start cooking some dirt. Now, I've decided I'm going to start cooking it over here in this far right-hand corner, flooding the whole place with carbon dioxide. However, to stop it all, just pouring right out again, I'm going to wall up the sides here with some insulated tiles. We'll do it up to about, you know what, we'll have everyone come in the top. This should force all the oxygen in here out this top left corner, and eventually I'm going to start doing some venting into space, but that's a long way in the future. We've got to cram this place, just cram it full of hot carbon dioxide. So let's just say we'll put one vent there, one there, and one there to start. Also, I'm going to have to hook up these pipes, aren't I? That will do, that will do. Oop. And there we go. And of course, I'm just going to have to cancel out them. I don't want to overwrite the insulated tile bit. Okay. That should give us plenty of carbon dioxide in here to start. Now, I'm not going to have enough heat in this carbon dioxide to cook all the dirt. I'm going to have to introduce another heat source probably at a later date, though I do have some ideas. But what I do want to do in this video is at least cook a few pieces of dirt so you get a feel for the plan we're going for. Also, I may have done some checking in the background. I went and actually ran the numbers and I realized I may have overdone this. 2 levels of this should be enough to support all the sleet wheat I need, and 1 level should support all of the pinch of pepper nuts and water wheat I'm going to need. But, we might as well overkill it. That's assuming I went with 50 duplicants. And I'm not going with 50 duplicants just yet, so I don't even need that much. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll figure it out in between this video and the next. Anyway, this should start the carbon dioxide flowing, and once the carbon dioxide starts flowing, yeah, we'll be dumping hot carbon dioxide right in here on top of this stuff. So we'll just skip it forward a bit, and hopefully we'll get to see some of this dirt cook. Ooh, research is complete. That means biological cargo bays have been unlocked. Excellent. And colony achievement? Colony achievement was... Home sweet home, honorary doctorate. Unlock every item in the research tree. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, so it's time this time I can now send my rockets off to pick up some sleet wheat. Now let's see what the heat is like down here. That's not heating it up very quickly, is it? That's going to take a while. Oh yeah, I'll go work on the biological cargo bays, then we'll come back when this is heated up a little bit more. I have reconfigured both our little cargo rockets, only with 1 biological cargo bay. We're still running on that cruddy oxalite. But all I need is just a couple of rockets to go out here to this interstellar ice planet and get us some sleet wheat grain. So that's one of them launched. That's Miracle Max. Oh, I should really set your automation sensor to detect when you come back. Yeah, Miracle Max, grand. And you're set to Wesley. Perfect. So with those 2 rockets away, I should get back enough sleet wheat grains that I can start doing a proper sleet wheat farm. I might even farm those just farm those in hydroponics tiles just to multiply the seeds as quickly as possible to begin with. So I got this alert that I was getting an overheating building. I was like, how? Where? And I found this one, which is overheating, and it's because of this water. And then I was like, where did this water come from? And then I looked up here and I realized, yeah, it's coming out of the bottom of this water tank because a tile broke because I didn't double layer this sucker. Oops. So, Yeah, I'm about to pour a ginormous amount of water down on top of this, which is going to mess up the cooling for this, which is, yeah, this is going to be a mess. Buggery. I have managed to plug the leak for now, but I think it's time I reinforce this whole liquid tank. That heavy watch joint plate won't go, right? I don't think they can suffer pressure damage. This is going to be an enormous mess. Okay, this may slow down the farm tile thing a bit, but not too much. Yeah, I can't mop any of that, can I? It's way too much water. I'm going to build a liquid pump down here to try and extract this water, though I think it's going to be a while before my steam turbines are good for use again. They're all going to be flooded. Ah, joys of this game. It always finds a way to ruin your day. Now, I'm going to put a ladder right up here. It's time to double reinforce this sucker the whole way up. Like, the whole way. There is no messing about anymore. Shots fired. I'll do that more of that off screen. This is just going to be a case of pumping out that water, dumping it right back into the tank. I think the pressure just got too high and it caused something down there to crack. I have no idea what the tile was there. Was it a bisellite or a natural tile? You know what? Doesn't make a difference. We're going to reinforce everything and it should be fine. I'm going to have to rip out one of these and we'll put in more insulation all the way. I'm pretty sure those heavy watch joint plates can't crack under pressure. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out. Anyway, back to this. Yes, I have. It's taking way too long for these to heat up. I mean, the algae here is up to 80 C, and the carbon dioxide is pushing out slowly but surely. Though the temperature-wise, it's not spreading the temperature quite fast enough. Though I know that looks orange and hot, but it's only about 40 degrees. We want to get it, into the red section. So I have introduced our good old faithful friend, the metal refinery. However, this one is slightly unique in that I'm feeding this metal refinery off the power from our newly constructed, what do we call it? Our newly constructed power source over here. So it's powered entirely by this and this alone. That's going to provide it with all its power. Because, we're ecologically friendly here and we're making a perfectly sustainable natural farm. So we might as well run off perfectly sustainable natural power, right? Anyway, I'll run a couple of batches of gold through this just to make sure that it's not going to cause any issues dumping too much heat in here. But assuming that works out, it'll be on to iron and steel to see if we can't cook this place to 130 degrees. Yeah, I've resorted to doing some cheap mopping tricks here to try and keep this whole place from flooding too much. It's having the knock-on effect of the steam pressure in here is building up again and again because petroleum boilers are still going. This is going to drive the carbon dioxide down, which means I'm going to end up starving my slicksters if I'm not careful. So I'm going to use every single trick I can get my hands on to try and get this liquid out of here as quickly as I can. So I'm using the mopping trick. I'm just putting down mesh tiles, mopping on top of them if at all possible, or put down a brick. Maybe if I delete the brick fast enough, I can get to mop the liquid below it. Well, we'll see how this works out. By sneakily deleting the tiles here, I've managed to get down a mop command in a place I should not be able to get a mop command down in. Oop, didn't quite make that one. But that means once they mop that, they should mop up most of the bulk of the water here. Yes, this is not very fair. Yes, this is a little bit cheaty, but oh, damn it, how much did they get? Nope, they caught on to my little cheatiness and stopped it from happening. My second option is over here. I've sealed off this area. And once I can get a mop command down like that, what I can do is, you know what, let's put mop commands down all across there and make that a deconstruct at a high priority. Now what should happen is my duplicants should come along and mop all that up, and hopefully we'll mop up this whole area. Is it working? Yes, they've managed to mop up a good chunk of it. I think that's it. This should allow me to mop up the whole rest of this area. Oh my god. This was starting to become a bit of a nightmare. And yeah, we're slowly pushing our way across. Soon these steam turbines will have the ability to function. And that is the end of, well, that's pretty much the end of that emergency. All my steam turbines are coming back online. That will start dropping the steam pressure in my industrial sauna. And I've reinforced some of the areas up above to make sure that this should never happen again. I've gone quite a bit up. At the same time, yeah, the steam pressure in here has gone well past down the sensors. I've got two sensors there, and that's where the carbon dioxide level should be. Unfortunately, yeah, it's gone a little bit lower because all of those steam turbines had stopped extracting steam. But now that they're back online and busy dumping steam out of this area, we should quickly have all of that water removed. They're removing 10 kilos per second. That should be plenty. It should be fine. One of the weird downsides was this cooling loop is now a mix of clean water and polluted water. I have no idea how that happened. the water that fell in here was about 95 degrees C. It shouldn't have been able to boil the polluted water, yet somehow I now have polluted water and clean water in the pipes. And I can't see anywhere where I hooked them into the wrong system. So, yeah, I think I'm going to have to drain the whole cooling loop here and rebuild it again from scratch, which is going to be, yeah, that's going to be fun. Also, the whole thing kept overheating because of the fact it was in boiling water and it was only copper. I should really replace that with steel. I might have to do that when I'm doing the refit. But for the time being, let's get back to what was it? Yeah, cooking this dirt over here. Oh, we got some dirt tiles. You'll notice there is 1 kilo of dirt right there and 1 kilo of dirt right there. That's because, oh, and 3 kilos of dirt over here. Each one is 1 kilo in size because the algae cooked. So let's just fire this up and maybe I'll fast forward this so you can see. I'll put in, we'll put to 3 loads of iron. That should get us hopefully a few more tiles to cook. So time for a little fast forwarding. We'll just let this go on and I'll pause it out when we get a tile convert. And there we go. That tile there just converted to dirt. It eventually went above the boiling point of algae. Algae has a boiling point of 125 C. This one went up to 127. You usually need to go about 2 degrees beyond boiling point, and it converted to dirt. What I'm seeing here is that this mafic rock, it absorbs the heat. That seems to dump it into the algae. Whatever temperature the mafic rock is, the algae is. The algae isn't exchanging heat very well with the carbon dioxide. And that would explain why this stuff down here is still really low temperature. I need to replace all this bottom layer of tiles with mafic rock. That way, all of these will just, I only need to replace the ones underneath them. But if I do that, that should increase the thermal conductivity between the two surfaces and make sure that the algae there also converts. Anyway, I think we've covered enough in this video. I think I'm going to cut this out here. After all the emergency stuff, I've got plenty of footage in. This here I am extremely happy with. Thanks again to Tony AdvancedONI for this little design feature here, this mesh tile debris going diagonal. This just makes things so much easier when dealing with them. Now, the magma went down a bit when it went into its dormancy phase, but now that it's back out of its dormancy phase, the magma tank is starting to fill up, so I could probably turn up the temperature on this to, say, 160 or so. I'm not sure exactly where this volcano is going to even out. I need a lot of testing to know how much magma the volcano gives out, then figure out what kind of settings you can put on this or how many steam turbines you can hook up to it. I'm pretty sure this will run 2 steam turbines quite comfortably once I get it up to speed. Oh, if you check down here, you'll see that the igneous rock has started forming a second tile. So there's a 25-ton igneous rock, and then there's an 18.1-ton igneous rock. The reason this is good is the 25-ton rock will no longer absorb any more heat from the magma, the fresh magma coming in. Its temperature should continue to always go down, so it'll constantly be just dumping heat in. And the other igneous rock, the one with 18.3 tons, well, that will be sort of absorbing the new little pieces of debris that get spit out, so its heat will stay kind of high. But eventually they'll all just even out. And the more and more rocks that end up here, the more even and stable this flow will become. I mean, I've been running a metal refinery on this over here. So anyway, I'll cook up some more dirt in here, and eventually what we're going to do is we are going to cook up all the dirt in this entire area all the way out. I think now that once I convert all of this to mafic rock, this should be way faster and simpler. Also, we've managed to curtail the disaster that happened over here, and everything seems to be up and running. All my buildings are repaired. Okay, all my buildings are repaired except for this one. This one's going to need to get repaired, and pretty quickly. I need that to provide cooling, otherwise all my steam turbines are going to overheat. Anyway, I'll cut it out here. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck.